Welcome back to All Over the Place with Corey and Shawn. Minus Shawn today. That's about it. This is kind of our rush force show that, to be quite honest, we've stopped giving
This
shit
is
already.
filler.
Yeah, this is filler. We needed 1 more week's worth of fucking show. So here you are.
Not to be confused with last week's show, which was filler.
We didn't even turn all the lights
You know
on.
what? Last week's episode was good filler.
I like that one.
Like I thought,
Was it though?
I think it will. It was good for laughs. It really was.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
This week, honestly, we tried one time to do a video about, or an episode about GoFundMe's that we disagreed with and whatever, and due to technical issues, we couldn't put that out. So we're going to retry that again. And we have a few GoFundMe's that just straight up piss us off. And
Yep.
hey, who knows? By the end of this episode, we might start a GoFundMe because we would like your money.
And also, just so everybody's understands, the research department did not have time nor the inclination to look over the previous GoFundMes. So I'm just going to go by what I basically kind of sort of remember.
I don't give a shit. Once, like what started this for me is that our buddy Glenn from that particular our most successful episode. He was big on starting to GoFundMe. His overweight girlfriend also started a GoFundMe to try and pay his bail while he was in jail for soliciting a minor.
When are we going to leave? Glenn
But
alone?
he recently got off, and that's got me, that had me a little annoyed anyway.
Yeah. Let's be honest here. He just solicited a child. Really.
Allegedly, even though he admitted it on camera.
Yeah, on camera. like there's no Vince McMahon, I didn't type this up kind of defense in this.
Yeah, there wasn't a gray area in this.
No.
Because he
Well, yeah,
admitted
I said
everything on camera.
Yeah.
But that's not all I said. I said this other stuff too.
But still, the judge let him off anyway because, hey, that's the kind of society we live in now.
Yeah, they're a protected class.
Yeah. But back to the GoFundMe. His girlfriend started a GoFundMe to pay his bail, which nobody fucking paid. But that got me thinking of other ones in my past that have pissed me off. It's like I have a few, one of which is our cousin who he was diagnosed with cancer, and he started his GoFundMe to raise $5,000 to fund his cancer treatment. And when he got that, when he was able to, extort enough money off of our family and friends,
Yeah.
he decided he wanted to up the game, and he put on there, it's like, oh, while I'm getting treatment in Chicago, I figured we'd take a little extra from you all and treat the family to a nice Chicago vacation.
Why would you go to Chicago for a vacation in the first place?
Pizza, hot dogs.
But after the pizza and hot
Sports balls teams.
They do have sports balls. Lots of them.
They have sports balls teams, but again, like
It's the Windy City.
yeah, it's windy because there's fucking bullets whizzing by your face. Like that's why it's windy. Like why the fuck would you go there?
Where, I mean,
You would think, as big of a proponent as the Second Amendment as you are, you'd be fine with that.
No.
those are not registered weapons.
Those
They
are
could be, you
those
know.
are irresponsible uses of firearms. I'm all for the responsible.
It's not irresponsible if you miss.
Yeah, it is because
It would be irresponsible if they got you in the face, but if it just whizzes by your head, that's responsible.
No, but then it could hit the kid, on the fucking bike.
Well,
Because it missed you doesn't mean it missed
that's
everybody.
their fault.
Oh yeah, it's their fault because they were in the way. Like,
But that's it. It's like, here's what we're talking about, Chicago, and why wouldn't the family want to pay extra for this fucker to take his family, his immediate family, not the stupid family that funded this whole fucking excursion, to Chicago? It's like, oh, they need to have a good time on our fucking dime. It's like, fuck you,
They
buddy.
need to lighten their spirits because of the cancers.
Oh, yes. It's like,
yeah, they need to
do
get.
you have any FundMe or GoFundMe that would speed up the process?
They need to get their minds off of the mutated cell that is slowly eating him.
Yeah. Well, see, it's like, that kind of misuse of this, I can see where GoFundMe would probably be a good thing for certain things. But then there's this kind of shit. It's like a guy I went to high school with. he started a GoFundMe, and I actually busted his balls so bad he
Took it down.
He took it down. He got on there and he said he put a picture of himself from high school in the junior ROTC, the Air Force Junior ROTC.
The Girazzis.
Yeah, the Girazzis. And I know this was where this picture came from because they had the framed pictures up all over that classroom, and I had a class in there, and I just remember making fun of it.
Buffalo head.
But yeah, he put on his, he started on his Facebook, like the link to it on his Facebook, and he said, I'm just an old veteran that needs help out paying the bills. And I'm like, first I messaged him, and I was like, in what fucking way are you a veteran? Like, what makes you a fucking veteran? Did you actually serve anything? He's like, oh, I was in the Air Force. Didn't you see the picture? I said, no, that was your Air Force Junior ROTC picture from high school, you lying fuck. And he's like, what do you mean? I was in the Air Force. No. High school Junior ROTC does not fucking count as military service, you douchebag. And first I busted his balls to, at him. And then I went on his Facebook and the GoFundMe and started talking about what a fucking fraud he was.
Oh my God.
And he, it stayed up for about 12 more minutes after I went on my goddamn tirade. And I think he unfriended me. Either way, he didn't try and raise money from, trying to tell people that, oh, he served his country.
Well, wasn't this the same guy who, when you went to your high school reunion and he walked up to you and you're like, hey, how you been doing? And he's like, my wife hates me. My kids hate me. I don't have a job. And it's like, it's the most pathetic.
That's cool. I hate you too.
It's the most pathetic fuck you've ever seen.
Well, actually, you're skipping a step in that me and another guy who, both of us will say we kind of gave him a rough time in high school. We thought him showing up, he was there to kill us both. And the fact that we were
going to open fire.
We were sitting there together. I was like, God damn, we're making this easy for him, aren't we? And
one man's a waste of ammo.
Yeah.
two or more, that's a golden opportunity.
Yeah. And he came out and, he was like, we said, how you doing? And he said, I got a fucking wife I can't stand and 2 kids that hate me. And we were just like, cool.
Nice.
Like, yeah, I know if we say the wrong thing, he's fucking killing us.
He's going to snap.
Like, here we are. We're going to die at a fucking picnic.
I had one class with this dude, and he sat behind me, which was the worst place to possibly be because he had this breath that just smelled like he'd been chewing on little pieces of shit all day. And he was always wanting to chat me up because he was like, oh, how's your brother doing? And I was like, I don't fucking care. Stop talking to me. Like, he was disgusting.
That right there, that pretty much, it's like he kind of revered me for some fucking reason. I was horrible.
We're all baffled at that one.
He thought you were
not
friends.
As baffled as me, and he still does. It's the whole thing. It's like, I ran into him at Walmart a while back, and Kat, the wife, she was busting my balls about wearing shorts and sandals in the winter because that's what I've always done that. And here he walked up and was like, yeah, that's Corey. He's always done that ever since high school. And I'm, motherfucker, we did not like each other. Well, okay, I didn't like you in high school. I was not nice to you. Why the fuck are we talking like you are my best friend, my lifelong chum that we went all through school together? It's like,
you couldn't even give him a little nostalgia.
It's like, I was a dickhead to you. And here's what it is. It's like, even worse, I was a dickhead for no fucking reason. Just because I didn't like you.
I remember at one point, I think it was a Hoover game or something. He was walking along the bottom of the bleachers, and you and a whole bunch of your friends just start going, Tatanka, Buffalo Head. And he just looked up and then looked back at the ground and walked off.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I thought I delivered some soul crushing fucking old school bully into him.
But no, but when you talk about the GoFundMe, I told you about the girl I went to high school with. She did the same thing, like defrauding GoFundMe.
Yeah, but she didn't use her past military service. She just fucking used it as help me achieve my fucking dream.
Yeah, she wanted to go on one of those singing shows, whatever. Not America's Got Talent, like The Voice or whatever.
Like American Idol, I thought something like that.
I think it was a Voice. Well, anyway, it doesn't
matter.
It was one of those shows. She was going to an audition, and she said she wanted to raise something like I want to say like $2,500 because she's going to drive to it, and I want to even say it was in Chicago. It might not have been, but it was in some big city. No, Nashville. That's right. But it was Nashville, and she's like, I just need $2,500 for gas and just food while I'm there. Blah blah blah, whatever. So she ends up getting over $2,000. I don't know exactly how much.
I thought it was closer to $4,000 when it was all done. And this is purely given out of the goodness of people's hearts to help this girl in what she's claiming is to achieve her dream.
Because she'd always been all over Facebook.
Like,
I'm a singer.
I fucking hate that.
You didn't start one for singing lessons first?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
would have helped.
Well, no, that's the thing is she did karaoke for years, and so obviously if
that clearly makes her good.
Yeah, if you do karaoke that's the same thing. But anyway, she gets all this money and goes to Nashville, and the very first day she goes, I'm off to my audition and blah blah blah, and mind you too, she doesn't even get on TV. It's just like that first round where they weed out all the fucking weirdos and the
like she didn't even
where
meet
they
a
turned
celebrity.
20,000 people down to 5,000 people.
Yes.
Yeah. And she
and
gets
6 of them get on the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she gets dropped first round, then spends the next, I want to say like week, posting pictures of her and her fucking man going from restaurant to restaurant to bar to clubs, and like she was posting pictures all over Facebook, social media, like, oh look, and of her drinking and eating like real high end, at restaurants and shit like that, like on all these people's money. And I was sitting there going, that's pretty fucked up. But then after that, I looked on the same started seeing on these pictures, people were like, well, I mean, you got knocked out first round, you're going to refund that money, right? And she never responded. But then people were like, hey, so we just paid for you to go drinking in Nashville, never responded to anything, nothing. And, I mean, that I was like, well, at least I'm not the only fucking one seeing this bullshit, but she sat there and said, oh, it's my dream. It's been my dream since I was a little kid to sing professionally. And then, and then gets knocked out first round.
Like that whole talent thing would help.
Yeah, it literally.
We all have to overcome obstacles.
Yeah.
but she literally, she goes, I'm off to my audition. And then it was like less than 2 hours later. Oh, I'm knocked out, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to, I'm going to persevere.
You're not doing it all right, damn cunt.
And, well, she fucking did. And
no, the way she continues.
Oh, but everybody, like, by the end of it, she had so many people sitting there going, you fucking bitch, we gave you money thinking you were going to make it on the fucking show.
Well, maybe her dream was to wander around aimlessly in Nashville, seeing the sights. And
it's like, you told us you could sing.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was unreal. Like
she get that. She was so fucking bad. She didn't even get on there to be told how bad she was.
Yeah, like she didn't even get in front of, like, how they always have like the celebrity, like on the show itself, they put even the shitballs. That's the only episode of like what is it? Not American. What's the first one? American Idol. That's the only episode of that show I ever watched, was the first one, because that's where like William Hung
like
was.
The first couple of episodes.
Yeah, where they weed out all the shit, the really bad shitball.
They don't weed them out though. They put them up there.
Well, yeah,
that's it.
That's what I'm saying.
This guy's so horrible. He's going to make for good TV.
It's like, you are.
They're not there to make you a star. They're there to make money.
You are less entertaining than a fucking engineering student who doesn't understand English.
Yeah,
like fucking William Hung.
Like I remember watching a guy sing the lion, like the Cowardly Lion song from The Wizard of Oz about being the king of the forest.
Yeah.
That guy was more entertaining than she was.
Or did you see the one with the guy where he broke back into the studio? He's trying, because he was like,
no,
because he sang and he was terrible. He was I forget what song he sang, but he was really bad. And they were like, no, we're not, like, we don't, you're not making it, whatever. And he goes, no, I'm good. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm good. And they were like, "No, we're not voting for you. You're not going to, you're not going to Hollywood." No, I'm going. I'm going.
Yeah.
And then later on, like he literally he left, and the next person came in, and the
Was it
same
him with one of those fucking glasses and those.
no, he run
mustache.
I guess as he was going through the hallway, he made a fucking about face and came back and busted through the door and started singing fucking Barbara Streisand or something. And they literally had to have security drag him away. And he's like, "I'm going to Hollywood. I'm good."
Was it Dylan Mulvaney?
No,
If you knew a Streisand song,
It was
we
a-
know which way. he
it
went.
was a person who probably swung the same way. I won't say he's gay, but he probably did know what a penis tastes like.
What he knew
Definitely
Streisand
seen one
song.
up close.
Like I automatically
In
assumed
3D.
this was a gay man because he knew a Streisand song. And
I don't know
he
if it's
had
Streisand. It's
the
just Streisand.
body strength to kick a door open. So it's like,
But he was. Oh no! It was a black guy who was very effeminate. So and he sang.
yes.
I want to say he sang like Lady Gaga or something. It was something like that. But when he came back through, he was singing like I don't know what it was. It sounded like a show tune. But either way,
yeah.
he was definitely a patrolman on the old Hershey Highway. But anyway, yeah, she didn't even rate that high.
Like I said, you're not good for music and you're not good for a fucking laugh.
Yeah.
You can go
Get the
now.
fuck out. And and then she spent the rest of her time getting fucking hammered ass drunk with her boyfriend.
Yeah. Like, so, I mean, if you can fucking trick people into paying for your quote unquote dream like that, I don't see why we can't, trick some people into paying for us to
Well, see, that's
get a podcast lesson or two here and there.
but that's the thing is like if we charge people and we're like, "Hey, look, we're just trying to get our podcast shit." Like we're not lying to people. Like if you're not lying to them, I don't care. Like there was one I saw a GoFundMe during my research that I remember, and he was just saying, "I want to be one of the world's youngest millionaires." And
I saw that.
and he'd gotten like $19,000. And I was like, if you're dumb enough to donate to this guy, he didn't lie to anybody.
Nope.
Like, I don't care about that. Oh, yeah, that was the same guy. He said, "I'm poor, but I identify as a rich person, so I want to be a rich person."
Yeah.
And he had gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's like, if you're stupid enough to donate to it, I don't feel bad for you. I mean, he didn't lie to anybody.
You're poor and you identify as a rich person. Does your credit score agree with that assessment?
I'm sure it does now because he got a shitload of money from that fucking GoFundMe.
Well, I mean, like the pro wrestler Virgil,
Oh, God.
he put one on GoFundMe. He wanted to raise $1 million exactly because he wanted to be the actual $1 million man. And
How'd that go for him?
I think he was able to raise $352.
I love Virgil. Seeing him like outside the
Apparently
fucking...
he's dying now, but I mean, still,
Oh.
that's just karma.
Oh, we're all dying.
Well, that's less.
Well,
Just
he's
some
dying
faster
low.
than others.
Hey,
Yeah.
I don't care. Like Virgil,
Some people are in the fast lane for that.
that
He
dude,
is now.
that dude was a hustler. Like, because we used to go to Chicago every year, and he was there every year. And anytime he was whoever he was next to, his booth, they fucking hated him because people would line up. Because I remember one time, I forget who he was next to, but it was he was next to a comic. People making a little independent comic, and anybody who would come up to this comic booth, he would fucking snatch him and he'd pull him over and he'd be like, "Hey, you know who I am? I was with the $1 million." He'd always bring in Ted DeBasey because that's how he
Ted DeBasey, yeah,
Yeah.
the big banner that said
And-
Virgil and Ted DeBasey, but Ted
and,
DeBasey never showed up.
and then he would grab whatever was in their hand and sign it and
And
just
personalize it.
yeah, and then he'd be like, "Okay, that's $25," and they're like, "I didn't want you to do that," and he's like, "What's $25?" And he would basically fucking strong arm him, and dude was a piece of garbage.
Oh yeah,
And we saw him out when he was away from his booth, so he wasn't working, so he didn't try and hustle us. And and they had a ring set up, and we're like, "Hey, you gonna go in there and wrestle?" And he goes, "Motherfucker, they couldn't pay me enough to go in that and wrestle." And I'm like,
I was on show.
apparently they could.
Here's $80. Oh, okay, I'll put on about
Fuck,
30
I'd have
minutes.
done it for half that. Like, I've been on a couple shows where he just showed up and he would try and hustle us in the back. It's like, you don't do that.
I love it too. Like whenever
Was he trying to get ring time from you?
No, he was trying to get us to buy pictures with him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, then I love it too when he would they would have like not, I don't want to say legit, because he, I guess technically was a wrestler, but
He was.
they would have famous wrestlers, like actual people, somebody that fans would want to see at like comic book shops or memorabilia shops, and then Virgil would just put his booth up out, or put a table up outside of the shop,
Yeah.
and he would just accost
Like,
people.
have you ever Sam? What's Sam's last name that's on the show with Jimmy Norton?
Roberts?
Sam Roberts, yeah.
He started the lonelyvirgil.net
Was
website.
That was him that started that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. he
And
did
that's
that.
all. It's all pictures of Virgil. It's like, and this is real pictures. This is not Photoshop shit.
Yeah, it's him.
This is all him. It's like he had his stand set up in like a subway terminal.
Yeah, he was in the New York subway. One time he's at a flea market.
Flea market. It's like out in an open field.
Yeah, there was just nothing out there but Virgil and his booth. And he always had the same fucking banner. It said Virgil and Ted DeBasey.
Yep.
Well, those banners can be expensive.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why he didn't get a new one. But I mean, but yeah, he would hustle, and he was rude to people too. Like
He's a fucking scumbag.
he would try and intimidate them and everything. Like we sat there and watched him in Chicago every year, and he would sit for about 20-30 minutes, and if nobody would come up, he'd walk in front of his booth, and anybody that walked by, I mean, you'd see people like, you know, two-handing fucking hot dogs or something, you know, just, or food or whatever, and he'd fucking stop them. Go, you know, I'm Virgil. I used to work Ted DiBiase. I was WWF, blah, blah. And he'd
Doesn't ring a bell.
and he would still, even people withholding food who are not looking at anything, he would still try and fucking accost them. Like,
yeah.
And then he would,
I'll sign your hot dog.
he'd do the carnival barker bullshit where he'd sit there and he'd sign it. And then he'd be like, let's take a picture. And he'd just be like, or if he would see other people taking a picture, he would step into it and be like that. And
But he'd also make sure to personalize the autograph.
And
Like,
he
he'd
would
ask your name beforehand, and then he would personalize the autograph, and then you feel guilty for, you know, he'll guilt you. It's like, well, I mean, you got that now, and I signed it, and it's just for you, and you
Here,
might as
you
well
can
just pay
have
me.
it.
Take it back.
well, no,
This was a cherished family heirloom, but
There
now
was,
it's ruined.
you know,
Sam Roberts talks about his $1 million belt that he had Ted DiBiase.
no, that was E-Rock.
Was it E-Rock?
Yeah, E-Rock had the $1 million belt. And
You're right, it was.
And he waited in line for Ted DiBiase. And Ted DiBiase, again, legendary wrestler.
That's who the belt was made for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he finally gets to the front of the line, and he gets Ted DiBiase to sign it. Okay. And he's so happy that he got, and Virgil comes up right after he gets out of line and grabs, hey man, here, you got Ted DiBiase. Let me go ahead and do it. And
He's like, you want the other guy to held the belt.
he didn't just sign the metal on the belt. He signed on the fabric on the back of it.
Like it's got a felt back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ruined. I mean, just, and E-Rock was like, I didn't want you to do that.
And that's a $400 belt.
And he tried to, and Virgil tried to weasel $50 out of him. He said, $50 for my autograph on that belt. Because he's like, now it's worth more. And E-Rock even told Virgil to his face, he's like, no, it's worth less. Like, since you signed it.
Like, I think you should pay me $50.
And he tried to, like, because he tried to bully E-Rock out of paying him $50 for that shit. And I think E-Rock ended up, just to get him to go away, I think he gave him like a 20 or something like that.
Yeah,
but
that's it. Just go away money is all.
But no, see, that was the thing, is like, because E-Rock on the Opie and Anthony show back then, like E-Rock was just real timid, so he's not a. But Sam probably would have been like, no, fuck you, you're not signing my shit, you know. Probably would have.
Sam brought him on the show and interviewed him, and it was hilarious.
Because, well, Virgil, he's just such a scumbag.
He put himself in the status of The Rock, being a black pro wrestler.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you know, I'm one of the pioneers of black wrestling. It's like me and like The Rock. What?
Virgil was a bodyguard, and he sucked
Like,
as a wrestler.
He wasn't even like he.
Ron Simmons might want to have a word with you.
Yeah.
or you know, Rocky Johnson, maybe.
There were so many
Rock's
before.
dad.
Coco Beware.
Junkyard Dog. I mean, you know, Tony Atlas.
But he's like, he puts himself in there with The Rock, and it's like, dude, you were a manservant character,
You were a hype
a
man.
black manservant character, and your name is Virgil because Vince McMahon wanted to make fun of Dusty Rhodes. It's like Dusty Rhodes' real name was Virgil.
Yeah.
So he named Ted DiBiase's black manservant Virgil.
And then when he became Vincent for WCW,
That was them turning the tables and making it Vince.
he was a hype man. That's all he was. And he, like, anytime he wrestled, he got the shit kicked out of him. He never held a belt other than
the $1 million title.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not the same as like
I don't honestly recall him winning a match outside of that initial win.
when he
I don't
was the
remember him
manservant.
wrestling more than 1 or 2 times.
He always, he would get in and like he would get like when the NWO would like knock somebody down and start stomping.
He's the guy they sent in as cannon fodder.
Yeah, he was the first. He was always the first guy to get like whenever the NWO would be stomping on somebody, and then the hero would slide into the ring to clear it. You know,
Yeah.
He's the first one to get knocked
he's
out.
always the first one to get knocked out of the ring. You know, always. And
like-
he was a fucking joke.
Yeah, I remember when he was still in WWF as Virgil, and he wrestled Bret the Hitman Hart, who, straight pro.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when Bret locked him in his sharpshooter finishing hold, I was like, God damn it, his feet are touching the back of his head. It's like, Bret's stretching him for real.
Because he fucking hated him, probably.
It's like, oh my God. That was, it was a good, match on Bret's part, but it's still
but
match with fucking Virgil.
Yeah, that's a fucking squash match. But anything,
Yeah, that's all it
It
was.
was probably Virgil fucking up all the moves, and
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he
Don't
was-
doubt that.
Brett probably just got pissed.
He was never smooth.
He was never any good. Like, he was never relevant in any way.
No, I mean, again, he had his little shining moment when he was the manservant for Ted DiBiase, and
He broke away.
and he interfered in some Ted DiBiase matches, and maybe stomped a few people here and there for Ted DiBiase, and that was really about it.
Well, like, the whole thing is when he was with Ted DiBiase, he was his black manservant. But when he broke away from him, he became the most generic black wrestler ever.
Yeah.
It's like he had red and white candy striped tights.
He was enhancement talent. That's all it was. Like,
Yeah, not a lot of confidence in that character.
no, I'm surprised Vince didn't dress him up like a jockey.
That was his first character he tried.
Well, considering, some of the shit I've heard about Vince over the years, just thinking that,
And some of the shit we heard over the weeks,
Yeah.
I think he's got an affinity for the black man.
well, he's like I said, he's got an affinity for the howitzers they're packing, but that's about it.
Yeah, he has some specific views on the black demographic.
Yeah.
Oh my God, have we filled enough time yet?
Yeah, can we please cut here?
Yes, let's cut here.